Hi there, thanks for joining me for another tutorial in Melinda's Rubber Room. I'm Melinda Pierce and I'm independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I'm here today to show you this fun fold card. I'm going to call it the Triangle Fun Flap Fold. So it opens like that. It's got the two triangles and it has the flap, and then it opens like so. These are all my measurements. I'm going to take that off and I'll show you those later. Okay, so this is actually a card that we did during one of my Zoom sessions this past week. And I just wanted to share with you that I do have Zoom sessions on Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays. And you're all welcome to join me. All the information is posted on Melinda's Rubber Room on Facebook. All the details of the card that we'll be making is there, as well as the times and dates of the Zoom sessions. I would love to have you join us. I do go through the featured card. I go through how to make it, and then we all make it together. We also spend some time making our own cards and just having a good social time. So it's always fun to get together with other card makers. So feel free to join me at my sessions, and for now I'll point you down to my work surface and show you how to make this card. Okay, so I raised my camera up a little bit, so hopefully that'll help see more of my work surface. So the card that I'm making today is more along the lines of this one here. This was one that I did in I think this was on Sunday's Zoom session with this designer series paper. So this is the packet designer series paper I'm using today. It is called Sand and Sea designer series paper, and it is in the mini catalog. It has some beautiful cards, designer series paper in here. I love these kind of marbly type effects on the opposite side of the paper. Both sides are just really gorgeous papers. Let's see. So there's kind of a grayish tone one, a blue multicolor one, and then lots of seashells. So you can see it's just a very versatile pack of paper, not just all seashells. All right, so I'm going to use this piece of designer series paper just like in my other one. And I'm also going to use the stamps from that same series. It's called Friends Are Like Seashells, this stamp set. This time I'm not going to cut out the seashell, I'm just going to stamp it. This one here was actually die cut out and then put through an embossing folder to give you all that detail on that seashell. It's very gorgeous. But this time I'm just going to stamp the images. But you can see that it has all these great words, some awesome seashells that are perfect for California or anywhere else, but especially for us in California, it's just nice to have a good seashell set. So the die that cuts out those seashells is this one here. Cuts all of these dies, all of these seashells out at once. Let's see if I can get a better view of that for you. So it will cut out all these seashells all at once, and then you can go back and stamp these seashells with your stamps. You can also put it through the coordinating embossing folder to give you those raised images that's on this one here. Okay, and if you cut out your paper with this die, you can use that cutout and line it up with the embossing folder, and it will emboss all of your seashells all at once. Did I say seashells enough? That's really getting hard to say, but this is a gorgeous set. I just love it. Okay, so I am going to start with my two pieces of designer series paper. I'll get you all situated here. The camera seems to move as I go on talking. So I'm going to get you in line here. Okay, so we are going to start with a base card of 8.5 by 5.5, and that is scored at 4 1/4. And then you're going to use two pieces of designer series paper that measures 4 inches by 4 inches. Okay, so I'm going to start with that designer series paper. And I already have it cut down to 4 inches by 4 inches. And I'm just going to score that at 2 inches. So when you're doing this part, you want to keep in mind the direction of your paper. This particular designer series paper doesn't really have a direction to it, so I'm not too worried about it. But if it had a direction to it, you want to pay attention as to where your fold line is. this fold line is going to be at the top of your card right there. So your paper is going to go this way. So you'd want to make sure that your design of your cardstock or your designer series paper is facing this way to be in the right direction for your card. And then on the second piece, it's going to be the opposite. You're going to want your dimension to go upwards. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and score my other piece as well. That also is at 2 inches. Okay, and now I'm going to put my paper into my my cutter, and I'm just going to measure 2 inches. That's your halfway mark. And this is on the opposite side of my score line. So my score line is right here, and I measured 2 inches over from that. And then I'm going to go ahead and fold my designer series paper so that I'm meeting up at that tick mark that I made at 2 inches, and I'm coming down to my fold line and just creating a little triangle there. Okay, so again, my tick line is right there at the 2 inch mark, and then I'm coming down to the 2 inch score line. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the other side. Move this one over just a tad. I think it was a little bit off. So both of your triangle pieces should meet in the center and create a nice point up at the top. Okay, so you can go ahead and glue that section down at this point. So you can use tape or adhesive, doesn't matter. Okay, so there's my first flap that will go on my card. You can kind of play around with your score line to make it all even and nice and clean. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing to this side. Measuring in at 2 inches, make a tick line at 2 inches, and then fold over. And then fold the other side over. And then go ahead and glue those down. I should say this designer series paper and the stamp set are in the current mini catalog from Stampin' Up. If you'd like to purchase any of those items, you can do so at my online store at www.melindapierce.stampinup.net. I would really appreciate your business, and I hope that I can earn you as a customer. Okay, so there are my 2 flaps, and that is going to be attached to a front piece of white cardstock. And this just measures a standard mat size for your card front. So that is 5 1/4 by 4. And we're going to go ahead and glue this section of the designer series paper to the back of our white cardstock. So I'm actually done with my cutter, so I'm going to put that away. Okay, so I'm just putting glue on the designer series paper and adhering that to the white cardstock. Sorry, I wrote my measurements on a, I didn't use a very dark pen on my measurements, but hopefully you can see my little notes here. Okay, so you actually have an option at this point. If you don't want to have your flaps so that they open, you can certainly make a card that just has this design on the front. So it's like that, instead of one that opens like that. Okay, so if you want to do that, you can go ahead and glue these triangle pieces down and then they won't open up on you. But I kind of like having the feature of having the lift up flaps. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere my little mat here, and that measures 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches. And then my white cardstock here measures 2.25 by 3.25. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and attach the mat piece. So if you want your flaps to be able to open, you don't want to glue this all the way down. You just want to glue it on part of your flap on the top. So I'm just going to put glue on the top flap, and that way I know that I'm not putting on too much glue. You want to make sure that you're not putting glue all the way to the edges of your rectangle here, because that will glue down your rectangle where you don't want it to. So you just want glue on this little piece here. Okay. All right, so at this point I'm going to go ahead and adhere this to the base of my card, like so. So just so you know, when we do the featured card during the Zoom sessions, you don't have to use the same papers that I do. Like I said, this was my original sample, and then I did 2 other ones, one using the peony paper, and then I did the one with the seashells. So you can use any paper, any stamps, anything that you want. I don't have any requirements that you use the same materials that I use. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stamp my images, and let's see, I figure out how I want my stamp to go. I think I want it to go like that. And I'm using the crumb cake ink, which is the same color as my base. This is the crumb cake cardstock. So there's my seashell, and then I'm going to put my greeting in the same ink. Just make sure those stamps are right side up. Sometimes it's hard to tell with the words. So this says happy birthday for a beautiful friend. Okay. Then I'm going to adhere that to my mat on my front of the card. I just love these soft colors. Just seem so peaceful to me. All right, and then for the inside, the stamp set has great stamps for using in multiple places on your card, which I love. So I'm going to put this little sand dollar. So when you stamp on underneath the flap, you want to make sure that your images are all underneath the flap and not on the side here. So you want to use some smaller images. So I'm just going to use a little seashell. And I'm going to use this word stamp, also from the seashell stamp set. That says, friends are like seashells, you collect them along the way. Okay, so you can either allow this to lift up freely, or you can add a little Velcro dot here. So this one I use the Velcro dot, just has one piece on each side, which is kind of a nice closure, but you can also leave it open like that, or you could put a little bit of a semi-permanent tape down there just so that you can still lift it up. Okay, and then for the inside of the card, I am just going to stamp a couple more little sand dollars. I don't have words for the inside yet, so I'm just going to leave that blank. I'll find a birthday stamp for the inside later. I'm just going to adhere this. Alrighty, so there is my card. Hope you enjoyed that tutorial and give it a shot. Make one on your own. I would love to hear from you if you've made a card from my tutorial. If you like the tutorial, please give me a thumbs up on Facebook. Hit the like button. And yeah, join me over on Melinda's Rubber Room on Facebook and find out all the information about my upcoming Zoom sessions, along with any specials that Stampin' Up! Is offering. This is the last week of celebration, so if you'd like to make a purchase over $50, you will get some freebies from Celebration. We have some great stamp sets and designer series paper that we're offering. So yeah, check them out and let me know what you find. All right, thanks for joining me today. Have a great day. Bye-bye.